I used to play out in the woods a lot when I was a kid. You know, we weren't afraid of ticks back then. We were afraid of real stuff like snakes and bears. My parents had me afraid of falling into an old well. That was our big fear. They're like, you fall into an old well, people won't find you for 3 or 4 days. I'm like, 3 or 4 days? How about if I don't come home tonight? You go looking for me.
Dusty Slay is on the Adam Carolla Show.
This country, I've said it once, but never more than now. We need a baby in a well to unite this country. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We need baby Jessica to fall into a well, and we'll all just put our grievances aside, and we'll put our political disagreements aside, and the nation will come together under somebody's got to sacrifice.
You want me to find a baby and
you need to find like a blonde 3-year-old and throw her in a. Well, that was back then. Maybe a black 3-year-old.
Black girl,
Throw her in a well, and we need to unite and rally around this person in a well.
So. Can the black girl sing? Be a good singer?
We need. Okay, here's what we need.
All right.
We need pictures of her with stuffed animals and done up like in taffeta.
Oh no!
At age like 3, just a good something CNN can run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I
think you're right. That's a good uniter for everyone.
We need it now. Is what I'm saying. It's all the quarreling and bickering about everything constantly. But a kid in a well brings this nation together.
What about a boy on a balloon?
Like a hot air balloon lost out?
No, because we need a number of days.
Oh, okay.
You know, we need the baby in the well. Day 1, we need to be looking.
And
then we discover.
He's already
and then
too wealthy.
Army Corps engineers can't just drop someone down and get her because it's too small a well. So we got to dig, and everyone gets together.
We need a media circus.
Media circus, going to take a couple of days. We drop some granola bars and bottled water down there, you know. But a circus.
Interviews with their cousins. Everything.
A lot of interviews. Yeah. It's baby in a well time for this country.
I don't have any of that in the news, but I do have some cutthroat cowboys busted after a wild viral video captured them riding emotional support horses. I hope we have video of this because I just said video. It is apparently something they're doing as a stunt. Here we go.
They're riding. They're full-size horses, right? They're not even ponies.
And they're going through Walmart, my favorite store.
Yeah.
Where is this?
This
Texas?
Yes. They were down in,
Dallas?
Louisiana, I'm sorry.
Oh, Louisiana.
Yeah. I thought it was Texas, but yeah, in Louisiana causing the scene. I don't know what you have thoughts on this. Emotional sport animals are a whole new phenomenon.
Well, first off, with all this shit coming back, like we just brought back those extinct wolves, you know?
Yeah.
And now we're going full Jurassic Park. We're going to go full Jurassic Park.
Sick.
You can look forward to emotional support dinosaurs in the future.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking 5,000 years from now. I'm talking about like my kids' are going to have to get on a Southwest flight with emotional support pterodactyl. There's going to be... And then there's going to be this thing where the emotional support pterodactyl snatches up your emotional support dog and eats it in the airport, you know?
Oh, man.
And when we're old, we can be like, there was a time when there weren't dinosaurs running around the street.
That's right.
You keep your hands off my backyard brontosaurus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it'll be weird because they'll be going, this guy's so old, he remembers a time with no dinosaurs. Yeah, that's weird. Look, there's a thing going on, which is stuff in public, and stuff in public like with no shame. You know, every third video I see is just crazy black women screaming at people behind a counter at a Wendy's because they didn't get enough dipping sauce or whatever, and ripping computers out of walls at airports and throwing them, and guys fucking fighting, and shits, people taking shits at the deli and stuff. And I'm like, I think there's a thing. I think this is what's going on.
Yeah.
These guys are kind of doing a stunt. I get it.
Of course. Yeah.
But there's a thing going on, which is the more evolved you are, the more aware you are of like your surroundings. and that it's a uniquely human thing, because you could bring your dog in front of Queen Elizabeth and your dog may lick their balls. It's not like the dog knows where the dog is.
I would prefer that he did.
The dog has to lick his balls, and that's it. And humans are somewhere between that and the dog, and then us at our highest level. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then when you're dumb, people have dumb friends. They know what it's like. Like you go out to eat. And they're going, that motherfucker doesn't know shit. And you're like, okay, bring it down. Bring it down.
Sitting right here.
Tone it, bring it down. You're fucking swearing at a very high decibel. And people are what? And you're like, bring it, because you're aware, but they're dumb.
I mean, that's who I used to be. I know exactly what you mean, because when I was younger, that's who I was. I was louder. I wanted to make a scene in public because I felt like that was bringing me attention and that was fun for me. And then the older I get, and maybe it's that I do comedy now, so I get my attention.
Right.
But I want to exist not bothering anyone.
I feel you, bud. I'm the same way. Yeah.
We're getting dumber. I saw a dude walking around San Diego the other day. He's talking on his phone. He's got it on speaker and he's got it on full volume. And he's like yelling into the phone, and the guy's yelling. And I'm just standing in the lobby of the hotel going, I don't know why. Why do I need to be in on this conversation?
I did a Zoom podcast walking through LAX. Yeah, I just did that. That's me.
I heard a girl in the store one time. She was on speakerphone, and I heard her say, I'm off my period now, so you know what that means.
You just slip her your number.
So I think we're getting collectively dumber.
Yeah.
And so we're doing more things out in the open. Like, people are not dissuaded by cameras. Like, you can film them being dumb and yelling and doing criminal behavior. They don't care.
Like we're going viral.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
I'm always surprised when people know they're being filmed and they still keep going.
Yeah.
And I go, this is going to be on the internet now forever, right?
For sure.
If you get caught doing something, that's one thing. But when they're like, oh, film me, I'm like, oh, this is bad.
But they're dumb.
Yeah.
Doing it for the likes.
Yeah.
Yeah, these kids did it, and they got busted for it. So they're in jail.
I like that they know how to saddle a horse, and they're doing that. It feels like there's some skill involved, at least.
They knew what they're doing.
Yeah.
Exactly right. They were doing a viral video with the Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy playing over top of it. So,
while not saving a horse, though.
Exactly. Dave Portnoy unloads on lazy, entitled losers taking over the workplace. The Barstool Sports founder. We have a clip.
It's hard. We got a lot of idiots, but I mean, we do have a locker room environment here at Barstool. We let people be themselves, but it's hard to manage them. It's a different world.
What's the difference?
You got to be self-motivated.
What's the difference between someone of your generation, I mean, you're in your 40s or something like that, and a Gen Z person who's in maybe their 20s? What's the difference?
Oh, they don't want to work. They're spoiled brats. They've grown up in a world where it's everyone gets a trophy generation, and like the idea of showing up and going through traffic and being at the office at 8:45 and working till 6. They look at you like you got 10 heads to it. They think everything's on a silver platter. So it's very hard to motivate these people. They're really lazy, entitled losers.
It's funny because they set up the Zoom call and they're standing 4 feet out of frame. That's fucking standing there watching them getting a new asshole torn for them.
You're right.
Look, young people suck. They don't know how to work. I don't even know what. Listen, there's some balance, and we're out of balance. I think the stories that we told in the last hour were out of balance stories, going through dumpsters and fucking eating garbage and stuff like that. But maybe we've swung it too far the other direction, And like work is, work is kind of two things. It's like one part of work is interest, and do you like what you're doing? Does it bring you satisfaction or pride? But the other half is a little bit of desperation. Like, hey man, I fucking need money. I don't have anything. I got to do this thing, And thus we all did a bunch of shit we didn't want to do because we needed money. I mean, it's really prostitution, essentially. You just go, you want to fucking sell pesticides? No. You want to crawl under earthquake rehab buildings in Koreatown and dig a fucking footing with a coffee can? No. Yeah. All right, but for $13 an hour, I'll do it.
I just love how
I
specific
know this
that
one
was.
guy that's got like a cushy sales job that you just go around, and sell at different big box stores. Man, this guy's sleeping in the parking lot, smoking cigarettes.
Oh,
showing up all
banging
drunk
his
and
girl
banging
in the
his girl.
fucking truck stop.
Fucking night Gen Z, I tell you.
Well, I know. I know. That's why while I'm hearing him say that, I'm like, this is the same thing my dad was saying about my generation.
It's always that way.
I do think it's getting worse, but...
I'm in the sports world. I'm real lucky. Like, all the guys, my Gen Z dudes are, like, motivated.
Oh, yeah, MMA guys.
In the fighting
no,
world.
I'll give an example. I won't use his name because I like him, but I made fun of him. But stuff that would have never happened a million years ago. So I had a guy work here for a long time, and he said, I don't know, one day, it's not that he couldn't come in, maybe he had to leave early or something, but he had to go somewhere because his mom had thrown him a half birthday surprise party. half birthday surprise party. And I was like, I don't know if my mom knows what day my birthday is, but a half? You had a half birthday surprise party. And I said, why the fuck would she throw you a half birthday surprise party? And he said, well, she knew that if it was on my birthday, I would know I was getting a surprise party. So I did the half birthday, and I was like, oh, man, your mom fucking loves the shit out of you. Yeah. But later on, when we all did shows in Portland, and we're playing the 2 shows at the Aladdin Theater, I think it was. Anyway,
the Bubblers.
We rented a giant extendo van, not unlike the one I sold the guy the other day. This is an extendo van because we had the whole crew. We had we're doing live podcasts. We had a whole bunch of people there, and the guy in charge of the van was the same guy. And so we rented this, and we took it from the airport to the hotel. Then everyone got he was taking us all from the hotel to the gig, and I did 2 shows. Now it's like 12:30 at night. I'm in signing autographs in the lobby, just about getting to the end of the night. And Mike says to the guy, "Go get the van and bring it around because we're all ready to go home now." And he goes, "Oh, I left the van back at the hotel." And we go, "Well, we got the van so we could take us all to the hotel and not have to pay for cabs or Ubers." And why'd you leave the van? And he goes, "I figured we'd be drinking pretty good tonight, and I don't want to drive drunk." And I was like, we're at work. We're working tonight. By the way, tell me the transmission took a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just looked me right in the eye. He's like, "Well, we're planning on drinking hard." And I'm like, "Well, we're working. We're here working."
Yeah.
So now that's the same guy got the half birthday.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
His mom loves to party. He loves to party.
There was no world where I would tell my boss on a work night, "I didn't bring your van you paid $400 for because I knew I was going to be shit-faced at work." I would never say that.
Yeah.
Now, you may have done your drinking in the parking lot and then driven the van
but
drunk.
I didn't tell my boss.
You did not tell your boss.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a new world order.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. When I was younger, we did just drink and drive. Mm-hmm. We didn't tell anyone, but we just kept it low down. We go, I've had a couple of drinks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, staying on the car
But
subject,
that's so funny, though.
How bad is California housing crisis? A first-in-nation bill would let students live in cars. The Democratic proposal comes at a time the party looks to focus on cost of living issues.
Yeah, we don't have housing because we made it unaffordable. But, here's kind of my thing. It doesn't have to be this way in California. Like they go, with everything California. So what happened?
Mayhem's favelas, I'm telling you.
Yes, we pay $5.50 a gallon, and then the governor goes, the big oil companies are gouging us, and then they do a study, and it turns out we're gouging us with taxes and regulation and lack of capacity and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but it's like $3 in Tennessee.
It's $3 in Tennessee. It's $5.50 here. Now, I would say housing is almost the same. You know what I mean? But it doesn't have to be. It's not like plywood isn't available, or 2x4s, or pesticide. Like it's all available. We don't make it. We make it so regulated and so difficult. It's a self-fulfilling thing, but it's basically we beat ourselves with our own ball-peen hammer here. We just fuck ourselves up, and then we sit around and we go, there's no housing. It's like, yeah, because we created a climate that made it impossible to build housing, so we don't have housing. Now, we don't have to do it. There's a whole bunch of other states. Like, we should just go, hey, Tennessee, why do you have so much housing? Here's why. Why is your gas $3 a gallon? Here's why. Why don't you have graffiti everywhere? Here's why. Why don't you have homeless everywhere? Here's why. See, we're fucking retarded in California. We do this thing all the time where Gavin Newsom always goes, California leads the way. We lead. No. You guys are a cautionary tale, and all the other states make fun of you, and they act like you're not leading the way. You're the older brother who's in juvie. And your parents are going, you don't want to end up like Kevin, do you?
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to end up like Kevin, do you? Because that's what California is. It's the older brother who's in juvie. Every third friend of mine had some older brother that was in juvie. And their fucking parents always go, you don't want to end up like Kurt. You want to end up like Kurt? So you know where Kurt is right now. He's pushing a broom in juvie right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in Tennessee that are from California now, and they almost, if you ask them where they're from, they almost say, like they know everybody is judging them for moving to Tennessee from California. They're like, I'm from California, but California is amazing. Like I was just in San Luis Obispo, and then I drove down. I was like, oh, this drive to LA is so amazing. I stopped halfway, sat on the beach for an hour. I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like ruined by a lot of things like that, like a lot of regulation stuff.
Well, it's the thing that drives me insane is the self-imposed shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to do it. We do it to ourselves. I just played the theater over there in San Luis Obispo. It's great, man. Beautiful.
Fremont is what I did.
Yeah. Beautiful.
It was so great. The town was great, the drive.
I have a piece of... I'm looking at my screen. I have a piece of sad news, which is a friend of mine passed over the weekend, and his name was Nicky Katt, and he was an actor. And I talked about him a time or two, and I have his sort of resume. I'm trying to think. He was in Dazed and Confused. He was in Boiler Room. I mean, you can find. I think I told Byron to check his resume, but he's did a ton of movies. School of Rock. He was a
Gremlins.
He was a real child. Yeah, Gremlins. He was a child actor who worked as an adult as well. Worked with some of the biggest names, and
he's a who's who. Yeah, he's in there.
Yeah, he was an eccentric and interesting and funny guy, and he did a ton of work, and where I would see him,
everything. Look at that.
Planet Terror. Yeah, he worked with all the big directors, Soderbergh, and all those guys loved him.
Actor, yeah.
Yeah, Django. He did A Few Good Men. Was that it? Yeah. Wait, what was that other one? All right, here's the point. He was a good dude, and he was a character, and Death Proof. I mean, it's a crazy resume.
Yeah.
And he was really good. And I would see him every year at Laguna Seca. He would come out and hang out with us at the track. And there's probably a picture somewhere maybe on the internet of us at Laguna Seca. I don't know. And he'd hang out with us at the track, and he'd always bring gifts. He's a sweet guy. Yeah, that's him at the track with me over at Laguna Seca there. There might be a picture of him. So but you'd have to, I don't know, punch in Nicky Katt car race or Laguna Seca or something, see if something pops up. But anyway, he was an eccentric guy, but a real smart guy and knew Hollywood. All the old stores and all the old schools, and worked with everyone, and would always show up with gifts for everybody. He'd show up with a Red Ryder BB gun for me and go, I heard you talking about Red Ryder BB gun. And he'd show up with stuff for my son. He brought gifts then they were not like trinkets. They were like gifts, and they were thoughtful. It would be based on he would listen to what you said or hear what you talked about or remember some story you told last time he saw you. And he would bring gifts, and then we would go to our Airbnb, and we'd always say, come on, Nikki, hang out. And we'd go there, and we'd pick some crazy 70s movie that only he knew with Jan Michael Vincent in it. And we'd sit there and just drink whiskey and watch in this room while he kind of narrated over the film. And he was a sweet guy. He was a real smart and real bright, but eccentric and blah, blah, blah. And he fell on hard times, and his mom died, and I think he took his life. So it was really, really sad because he was a real funny storyteller. And you just, hey, man, you just don't know what people are thinking, man. You don't know what's going on in their head. But,
reach out to somebody. Man, I just got back from an MVP gala. It was Emerging Veterans and Players, the charity I work with that does suicide prevention for military, and, this is near and dear to my heart. So if you got somebody out there struggling, reach out. And if you are struggling, reach out. This is a heavy subject for the comedy podcast, but I think that we all got to look around to the people near us, and if someone's withdrawing, you got to identify that, because you never know. You might, I don't know through the program how many lives I saved, but I know everyone that we lost, it sticks with you.
Yeah. Now, you get into that space where like they literally, the race people hit me up the other day, and they're like, hey, what car are you entering this year? And like, get ready, because it's in August. You got to get registered and whatever. And I was thinking, oh yeah, we'll go up there. Nicky will hang out, have some drinks, and watch I'll figure out some old shitty 70s movie, Damnation Alley or something. We'll watch one of these movies, and he'll be laughing and having a drink and eating some barbecue. And it's like, not this year. Sad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is sad.
Yeah, it's sad. I think his mom was kind of his world, and his mom passed, and his mom had some boyfriend and put everything in his name, and he probably could have used the proceeds from a house sale or something like that, but ended up without it, and man,
got too heavy.
Yeah, I mean, what was good is we're sitting there, and I was talking about Chips, the TV show, and he went, oh, I guest starred in an episode of Chips. And I was like, you did? He's like, yep. And I was like, we're watching it right now. And he's like, yes, we are. We fucking got that fucking internet fired up, the smart TV, and 20 minutes later, I was sitting there with a drink in my hand, looking at a 11-year-old Nicky Katt starring in an episode of Chips from 1978.
Oh, man.
That was awesome.
God bless him, man. God bless him.
He was a
that
good
is
dude.
very sad. I mean, to have what I'm not familiar with him, but to have the kind of career that we just saw, and then it ends that way, it's very sad.
And then send yourself out.
Yeah.
Easy way out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd heard about. I got a text on Saturday that he had passed from my friend Matt, who was his friend, good friend, and tried to help him and hang out the track with us and stuff like that. And honestly, at the beginning, because we've been doing this for a number of years, at the beginning I thought he was kind of a weird dude, and I didn't really want him coming back to the Airbnb and eating our barbecue, but the last few years, I started looking forward to it because he was so funny, and he knew so much, and he knew all those bad 70s movies and stuff. And, it was fun. And I haven't told my son yet because I think it's going to bum him out, because he was really good to my son. And my son, who's known him since he was, 13, he's 18 now, he's kind of an old soul. So Nikki would kind of talk to him about these old movies and directors and guys he worked with, and my son into movies, and he could hear all the old stories. So it was kind of like a mentor thing going on. So I found out on Saturday, and it's always weird because people go, well, you got to go out and do 2 comedy shows tonight. How's that going to work? And I'm like, oh, I'm a sociopath.
yeah,
on stage, and no one will know anything. I'll compartmentalize. But now, we didn't know how he passed, but we were worried because he wasn't of ill health and he was not an old guy. So now we just kind of confirmed it.
Well, that thing about what you just said about comedy, though, that is something. I've gotten pretty bad news before and immediately have to go do a show. But the moment like your name is announced, you're just like, oh, here I am. I'm doing my thing now, and I never even think about.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it was funny because I was getting the news on like Saturday afternoon and had 2 shows. And somebody went like, well, that's got to be rough. And I'll be like, won't even cross my mind.
Yeah.
Weirdly, sadly, or for the better.
He used all 9 of his lives.
Yeah. I didn't even think about it until I got off the stage. Nicky Katt. Yeah, with 2 T's, though, by the way, not a Z. But anyway, good dude, eccentric, troubled in certain ways, brought a lot to the party, and kind of the last of a breed, like old Hollywood when Hollywood was kind of Hollywood before it got kind of, before we had intimacy coaches on the set, watching people make out, like old, 3 martini lunch, white dude Hollywood. Those when Tarantino makes a movie, that kind of Hollywood,
Yeah.
Yeah, like Dan Tana's Hollywood.
I don't know what's really going on a movie set. I've never done a movie or even been around, but I know the old Hollywood sounds better.
Yeah. And he wasn't that old, but he started when he was 6 years old. So he started like 50 years ago and never left the set. So I don't know when his first, he's doing an episode of Chips as a kid. God, we watched that whole episode. See, you got to start drinking again.
I know, I think so.
Because minus the booze, that experience is like a 3.5. But with the booze, it's a 9.
Well, that's so much of life.
The dude who's on that thing.
That is so much of life.
It is.
I often think, this would be fun if I were drinking. But I'm not drinking, so I'll just go home.
Yeah.
And I get sad. Like, I think about old stuff all the time. Like, driving down here from SLO, I was seeing these cities, and I was like, these are great, but people are going to find them, and they're going to ruin it. It just seems like every cool place I see, I'm like, when they find it, when the corporations find a way to build some stuff here, they're going to ruin this.
Humans tend to do that.
Yeah. I was getting up in my head because of Nikki's passing, but I was in Coronado. So San Diego, it's separated by a bridge, and San Diego is homeless people flopped out everywhere, and I had the Saturday, and I was like, I don't want to walk around and step in shit.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to drive over the bridge and go to Coronado. And when it got to Coronado was bucolic and picturesque, and they were having like some sort of book sales thing on the courtroom thing where everyone was walking around looking at books. And then on the other side, they had like a flower festival, and you could hear a band playing like park music in a gazebo. And you could eat off the sidewalk. There was no graffiti anywhere. Everyone was being totally polite. Every store was beautiful and picturesque. Coronado, I would do a car race there every year on the naval base, but I didn't go tool around Coronado that much. I showed up, did the race, went back to the Airbnb. I didn't go through Main Street, Coronado. And all I kept saying, and I was thinking about Nikki's gone, and then I was picturing all the homeless people in San Diego, and I was just looking around, and I went, it could be this way. It could be this way. This is doable.
Yes.
It's a bunch of fucking nice people who have some civic pride. Their lawns look nice. The houses have a fresh coat of paint on them. It's not all about money. It's just like this could be it. People are being nice and courteous to one another.
Just being nice and caring about your own space and other people.
Right. We could do this as I looked around, but we won't. But it's weird because you go from the homeless situation in San Diego, you literally just drive over a bridge and 9 minutes later you're standing in the middle of Mayberry, 1954, and you're like, fuck, I got the Benz.
Yeah.
Like I needed to stop in Sherman Oaks and decompress a little before I got here. Now everything's nice and clean, and
the Truman Show.
I'm hearing music coming in from a calliope, you know, and I'm like, why? People are selling their art and stuff.
Yeah, and it really is not about money. If people just care about their space.
I said, look, everyone does way too much with the money. You go, look, your house, curb appeal. It doesn't really cost any money to keep the front of your house looking good. Now, you got to burn calories, but it doesn't really.
Yeah.
A gallon of primer costs $26. It's not a financial issue. The issue is you getting on a fucking A-frame ladder and doing your fascia. But it's not the actual primer that cost anything. And you keeping the lawn nice and you keeping the walkway swept and that's all just energy. That has nothing to do with finances.
The effort exerted shows through.
Yeah, just cutting the grass. In my neighborhood, it's like, it's pretty nice, but it's like there are people that live there that never cut their grass. And it's like you're walking by and it looks like that old video game Paperboy where the one house has it's falling apart and the grass is growing.
I went to South Philly. I was doing some shows in Philly. And this is about 10 years ago, and I said, I want to see my dad's old brownstone South Philly piece of shit house he grew up in, you know. I remember going there when I was a little kid, and his mom lived there. And so I went and found the address to my dad's South Philly old house, and I just had the cab driver just drop me off. And it's the only time I ever felt sorry for my dad because my dad, I was like, that guy's lazy, doesn't do anything, you know. But I looked at this place and I looked at the neighborhood and I was like, oh, man, I'd be a bitch growing up here in South Philly. And then I walked and I was like a little nervous because it was a kind of rough neighborhood. But mostly it was trashy. It was like old sofas parked there, garbage everywhere. It was junky. It was garbagey and it's shitty looking. And all I did is at some point as I crossed one street, just one major street, I just crossed at the crosswalk and I got to that side and I stopped and I went, why is it so clean?
Yeah.
And I was thinking we have stuff like that here.
Yes.
Like I just drove back from San Diego. You drive all the way through Orange County. You're like, hey, this is pretty nice. And then you get into LA and it's like the roads turn to shit, garbage everywhere, shopping carts, even weird just dead weeds by the side. Everything looks like shit. As soon as you get to LA, Orange County, you're like, oh, nice. And so I thought, oh, this side of the street must be cut off for the city jurisdiction or the county or something like that. And I walked to the other side and I just looked and I was like, wow, how did this get so clean all of a sudden? And I said to somebody, I go, what is the difference between this side of the street and that side of the street? And why is it so different? And the person went, this is the Asian neighborhood. And I went,
oh, yeah.
Oh, they care. They're fucking out sweeping their shit and picking up. And I was like, oh, okay, they care. They're not rich. It's the same place. They just give a fuck.
Yeah.
And that's what'll do, people.
Well, it's like people throw trash on the ground or they miss the trash can and it stays. And they're like, their attitude is, well, somebody will pick this up. Somebody is paid to do this.
Yeah.
But in my neighborhood, like after trash day, I'll go and pick up the trash that might have fallen out of the cans just so our neighborhood doesn't look trashy.
I was walking past up the sidewalk here about a block from here, past a business, and it was all in front, and it's a dance studio for kids, but all along the sidewalk is all those black stains from gum.
Oh, yeah.
Because people like drop their kids off or they get out of the car, and before they go into the dance studio, they shoot the gum out.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing that was crazy is the sidewalk had all those black dots all over it, all the gum all over it. the street and the curb and the hedge, right? Nothing. There wasn't. It's like people didn't have the dignity to turn their head 4 degrees and shoot the gum into the street at least.
Yeah.
Versus the fucking sidewalk where all the kids are walking and everything.
Well,
and it's like
I'm actually tiling my bathroom with just gum.
Just gum?
Yeah. Everyone's spitting. If you guys want to come over,
I found the 2 hardest substances known to man.
I know.
It is gum on a sidewalk, which just never goes away.
Yeah.
It's just black. It's a black spot. It never goes away. But the strongest, the thing everyone should make the houses out of is the paint on the crosswalk, because I've seen the street fucking disintegrate, but the paint is still. I'll trip over the paint because the street's 3 inches low around. It's like, I don't know who made this paint, but I want to fucking paint my car and my house with this shit. Because our streets are so decrepit over here, the paint stays together, but the asphalt's long gone.
Oh, yeah. I want some of that paint. I want some 5G blocking paint.
Put that paint on the fascia of the house in the shitty neighborhood, and they wouldn't have to redo it but every 60 years.
The wood rots behind the paint.
Termites can't get through it.
Yeah.
Die of suffocation.
I'm telling you, when you go to a really shitty street in L.A., that paint is still there, but everything around it is gone.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let me give Dusty a plug over here. Dusty's got the podcast. We're having a good time. Co-hosted with his wife. Talk mainly about soup, but they'll get into other subjects.
We get. It's I talk about planting fruit trees, and I got a little land in McMinnville, Tennessee, and I'll go out and plant fruit trees and.
Sick.
The night shift tour is ongoing, traveling all to a town near you, doing his funny stand-up. DustySlay.com is where we go.
Yes, DustySlay.com. All my social medias are at Dusty Slay. The shows are great. I always tell people that I do a relatively clean show, right? So it's like, it's not for kids, but if you want to bring your grandmother or your aunt to the show, she's not going to be embarrassed that you brought her there.
You can go to AdamCarolla.com for all the live shows, because I'm touring around all over too. And until next time, it's Adam for Mayhem and Dusty Slay saying, mahalo.